And we are live. Okay, so how can you guarantee, right? How can you guarantee that your next marketing campaign, whether it's Facebook, AdWords, YouTube, how can you guarantee that your next marketing campaign is not going to flop, that it's going to bring you in new patients? Well, I just finished bringing in a functional medicine practice, 41 leads in less than a week. And I can tell you it's not going to be easy, but I have a lot prepared for you today. And what I will tell you is that it's possible, right? It's possible to have patients come through your doors who already know that you don't accept insurance, who have credit cards in hand. You just need to know how to, number one, reach them. And then number two, how to give them such a compelling message, tell such a compelling story about yourself, about your brand, about them, that once you do those things, getting leads into your practice with as little as $100 a week is possible. So before we begin here, one of the things that's going on my mind is it's really unfortunate how the best practitioners don't necessarily get the most attention, right? One of the things I do in my business, I run an agency here. One of the things that I do is for each functional medicine client that I have, I talk to their patients. And one of the things that comes up consistently is before I did business with so-and-so, so for example, before I did business with, Dr. Buddy, one of my clients, I didn't know what functional medicine what functional medicine was. So what I want to do is I want to talk about the most important aspects of your business. So, whether you took a business 101 class or whether you read books at the airport, one of the most popular concepts is called the business core, right? So the business core goes like this. You have about 8 different sections of your business, and I hope that's 8, but it says that you have marketing, which leads to sales, which leads to customer support, which leads to tech, right? You want to have tech and security, and then eventually you have lawyers, accountants, and so forth, right? So this is kind of big in HR, and it kind of dictates how you hire. But to me, it's really the priorities of your business. You see, no matter if it's the business core or if it's the 4 Ps, which is product, price, promotion, place, everything in business starts with marketing. Everything. It's the most important thing. Right? Now, some might argue, what are you marketing if you don't have a product? And it's kind of a chicken or egg situation. But how many functional medicine practitioners, how many businesses are there out there that go out of business and they have products, right? Every single business that's gone out of business has a product, right? So product is not the most important thing. It's important, but the most important thing you have to get down is marketing. Now, this has been consistent throughout time, right? So back in the 1700s, you had newspapers, right? This is where you had one town come, they had one newspaper, and then you put your ads in, and then magazines. And then eventually you had the radio, and then the TV, and then you had Google, right, and search engines. And now you have social media. So marketing is the most important thing. And throughout time, the places where we market as a society has evolved, starting from newspapers to radio, TV, Google, social media, right? And every time a new medium comes out, right? And somewhere I'll put phone, right? Telemarketers, they call you all the time, right? So, but every time we have a new medium that comes out, you always hear stuff like the old medium is dead, right? So now, it's like SEO is dead, right? For, in 2019, it's like, okay, SEO, Google search engine marketing is dead. And a couple years ago, you heard a lot about TV advertising is no longer effective, right? And the same thing with the radio. Radio ads are not longer effective. So you see this progression in marketing. So we know that's important. However, right, so what I'm trying to say here, the question shouldn't be, okay, should I market in my functional medicine business? That should not be the question. The question should be not even where should I market, but it should be how do I market? Right? How do I go about getting the best results? So how do we get heard? Right? How do we break through the noise and get attention? Because if you're a functional medicine practitioner, you're probably in a part of a lot of groups, right? You spend a lot of on education. I know there's like the Kalish method, Living Proof. There's a lot of masterminds out there that you're a part of to learn more about your skills, right? Whether it's genetic testing or whether it's blood chemistry or, GI maps. So the problem with that is that you're a part of this mastermind. So here's you. And then you have other practitioners learning the same stuff, doing the same stuff. And essentially this mastermind is creating competition. Now, you might say these other practitioners are in different states, et cetera, et cetera. And that might be true. But you'll be surprised how incestuous marketing becomes. So you're part of this mastermind, you're full of a bunch of practitioners, right? And this mastermind might be a month, it might be a year, but then there's another mastermind in 12 months, it gets new people, and then eventually you have a whole bunch of functional medicine practitioners doing the same thing, selling the same thing, saying the same thing, making it harder for you to get patients in for that thing. So how do you break through the noise? So what I want to draw here is what I call the paid media progression, right? So paid media progression. So let's take in Google for example, right? So Google came out early 2000, right? I think it was 2000, 2001. And how Google works is you buy a keyword or a key term. So if you're selling wine or something like that, you'll buy the word wine. And every time somebody types in the word wine in your state, in your country, you show up. Now, back in 2000, right, you might have been able to buy the word, GI doctor, for example. And that might have cost you 3 cents per click, right? So if you have a 20% conversion ratio, 3 cents times 20, you might have been spending 60 cents for every new lead that you have. Now, you fast forward to today, this same term might be paying $30 per click. And it's not just Google, by the way, right? Let's look at Facebook. Now, when Facebook first came out, you were able to create a business page, right? And in the business page, you could just post, and organically, right, everybody would see it. But what happened was, as more people come to these platforms, right, as more people come to Google, as more people come to Facebook, these platforms now have the leverage because they work on an auction system. So imagine you want to go buy a car, right? Imagine you want to go buy a car and you go to the auction and somebody has a Ferrari and it's literally you, right? It's just you in the auction with the Ferrari. You can say $5,000, and there's nobody there to bid against you, so you're going to pay $5,000 or a low price. However, as more people become aware of that auction, right? Well, now you have people saying $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, right? And that's how auctions sometimes go up to an absurd level. So the number one best way, right? The number one best way to get attention is to be a first adapter. You want to be first to everything. To everything. Right? You want to be the, what they call that, trailblazer, for the most part. Because when you're a first adapter, that's where all of the arbitrage is. That's where all of the opportunity is, right? I was always told, right, you can see here, I'm a self-help junkie. Skepticism will keep you away from your most important and most cherished memories of your life, right? You know, I was speaking to my friend, it's like, you know, how many people, or how many, if you're a man, how many wives did you miss out because you were scared to talk to her? You're like, you see a girl at a coffee shop, you go to Starbucks, right? You see a cute woman and you don't approach her. Well, you don't know what that woman could have been. Now, she could have been your work nightmare, right? Well, she could have been your wife. And the same thing for business. How many networking conferences or networking masterminds have you gone to and you don't say a word? Well, you might have lost out on a business partner, a business opportunity. And the same thing applies with your marketing, right? You have these platforms like Google, which you end up advertising on, right? How many functional medicine practitioners are advertising on Google, right? Are you advertising on Google? Are you advertising on Facebook? Imagine if you weren't skeptical the first couple years it came out. You could have been getting the same, if not better results for a fraction of the rate if you were not skeptical. So the first thing you always want to do is you always want to be a first adapter. Now the question becomes, okay, Andrew, I get it, first adapter. Where do I go now? Now, for the most part, at the recording of this video, there isn't really much platforms where you can be a first adapter, right? Yeah, there's apps coming out every day, but so for example, YouTube, there's an opportunity there for sure. I think YouTube, out of the big three, Google, Facebook, YouTube is the least saturated. And I know Quora is a platform that just released an ad, that they just opened up their ad platform a couple months ago. So those might be some opportunities there, YouTube ads, Quora ads. But that's not the point of the video. The point of the video is if there's no opportunity to be a first adopter yet, well then how do you get better at the platforms that are available now? Some of these saturated platforms, Google and more specifically Facebook, right? How do you get better? So what you want to do is something I call, right? And this is, if we're doing tips, like tip number 3 or whatever, what you want to do is you want to follow what I call the domino effect, okay? The domino effect. So what the domino effect is, and some people might call this niching down. Some people might call this creating blue oceans, right? If you ever read the book Blue Ocean, Red Ocean, whatever the hell. But to me, what the domino effect represents is advertising toward one person. I don't know why it's so dark. So the domino effect is just your ability to advertise to one person. Advertising to one person. So the thing about copywriting, and if you don't know, copywriting is salesmanship in print, right? So ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it, is copywriting. Eat fresh is copywriting. But also the ads that you see in some of these magazines, right? So this is Psychology Today, this right here, let me show you just an ad in this. This right here is copywriting as well, right? This is an ad for a piece of jewelry. I didn't get this magazine for this, right? So this is copywriting. So just anything that's written to sell somebody is copywriting. So one of the foundational principles of copywriting that they'll teach you is the rule of one, right? So what that means is you want to speak to one reader, or if you're speaking on stage, you want to speak to one viewer, one audience member. But one reader, you want to make them one offer, right? In the message that you're giving, you're supposed to have one promise that's all wrapped up in one big idea. Now, you might not know what I mean by one big idea yet, and that's fine. The purpose of this is that you're supposed to speak to one person. And I'm going to tell you why I call it the domino effect in just a little bit. But what I do want to draw for you is what I call the line of abstraction. Now, keep this in mind, because what I see holding a lot of people back is they think marketing is all about their ability to be creative, right? They sit there at a computer screen, maybe they have a blank cursor, and they don't know what to say, right? And even to myself, Facebook ads, copywriting is intimidating at first because you're putting money behind it and you don't want to lose it, right? So you want to make sure if you're going to write something, you're going to write it the right way. That if you launch something, it's going to be 100% certain, but really in reality, there is no such thing as 100% certain, right? How many cases are you doing right now that you don't even know if this is going to work, right? So it's the same thing with advertising, that you can't have paralysis by over-analysis, right? So there's one famous copywriting book that I'm looking at right across the room. It's called Breakthrough Advertising. If you go on Amazon right now, I think it's about $400. It's a $400 book. It's essentially the Bible of copywriting. And what he says in that book is when you do marketing, right? And this is a book that every marketer is required to read. In any type of high-paying mastermind I've been a part of, and I paid a lot of money to be a part of, the Ask Method, Billie Jean. I worked with Ty Lopez, things like that. What this guy said in the book that really kind of changed my marketing career and changed how I market for functional medicine practitioners is what he said was, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to create a marketing campaign that appeals to one person and hope that enough people share that emotion, share that appeal, that enough people buy to eliminate or offset your marketing costs. So let me say that again more fluently. You're supposed to market to one person with one appeal and hope that enough people share that appeal that it offsets your marketing costs. And to me, that changed the game for me, because instead of writing ads that have one line, right, and instead of trying to be the most catchy person, essentially what you're supposed to do is just talk to one person. So to make this more practical, if you have a patient named Susie come into your practice, you create a campaign, an ad for Susie. If you have John come in the next day, well, you create a campaign for John. Because there's a reason why John and Susie came in. So if you write an ad that sells them, well, there's going to be a bunch of more people on the back end who share those same emotions who come in as well. Right, so keep that idea, because I'm going to dive into that a lot in a few minutes, but let me draw what I call, and this is a new whiteboard, and the markers they gave me is absolutely horrendous, so I'm going to have to go get some Sharpies, but this is what I call the line of abstraction. Okay, so I'm not a natural born writer, I'm not a copywriter, but copywriting is just, like I said, salesmanship in print. and essentially writing like you talk, right? So copywriting is not hard. If you understand sales, then you just literally type out your pitch, and that's it, right? And so I'm not a Stephen King. I'm not a Hemingway by any stretch of the imagination. So actually, I mean, I went through public school education in New York City, right? So a lot of grammar I didn't learn. Semicolons versus colons, when you're supposed to use it, I don't know. Sometimes I put apostrophes, when there's not supposed to be an apostrophe with the S. So like, there's a lot of grammatical stuff that I don't even know. I don't care to know because it's not where the money is made. But I do try to not be ignorant because when I hand stuff to clients, right, I don't want to be too stupid, right? So I read a lot of literature books, and this what I'm about to show you, the line of abstraction, is something I came across in a book about writing like essays or something like that, right? So line of abstraction. So what this concept is about is you have this line, right? So this is exactly how they drew it. And I'm going to teach you how to apply this to your business because this is important when it comes to writing ads that convert, right? Writing ads that literally transform your business, that gets you patients in for $100 a week. Imagine that. Imagine you get 40 patients, like $100. Like, what would that do for your business? So the line of abstraction says that you can say the same thing with different levels of specificity. So for example, automobile. Now, automobile could be a car, could be a bus, could be a motorcycle, right? And it's not very specific. So up here you have vague, general. So a funny example I'm just thinking about off the head is like if you're a man, right, and your girlfriend or significant other come home late, you might ask them, hey, like where have you been all night? And they're gonna say, like, imagine they say, I was out. Right? Imagine they say I was out. Like, how would you feel? Right? So that's the same thing here with vague and general automobile. Now, as you go down this line right here, you get more specific. So what's more specific than automobile? Car, right? You can say car. And more specific than that, you can say a black Ford F-150. Now, the reason why I draw this is not to teach you about literature, but it's to teach you about why so many of your competitors, so many functional medicine practitioners that I've come across with, that I had in consults, that I've reviewed ads for, competing against, right? Because if I'm doing a campaign for a client, I look at what other ads are out there in the industry. And a lot of the reason why functional medicine practitioners are missing is because their ads are here, right? Their ads are very vague, very general, and quite frankly, they, as a reader, you don't know what you're getting, right? So I have two stories right here. So, reading Psychology Today, there was a good article about why people lie to their therapist, right? So you have people who either use insurance or pay out of pocket for this expensive, what's the word I'm looking for? This expensive engagement with a therapist, and they lie on the intake form, right? They'll say things like, whether they smoked or didn't smoke, or they'll say things, I wasn't sexually abused when I was young, and they were. Like, so they'll lie to the therapist on purpose. And when they did a poll of I think 13,000 people worldwide, or at least in America, as to why they lie, people said that I was ashamed. I don't have the article. I don't want to. They said things like I'm ashamed, or it would make me look bad. Right? So how this applies to a lot of abstraction is a lot of people, right? Because I write pretty specific copy. Now, here's the two objections that I get usually when I'm running ad campaigns that are designed to convert, designed to get new people in the door, new butts and seats, right? People in front of you. The two objections I usually get from clients or students are, this is too specific. I'm not sure how many people would resonate with that, right? Now, remember, you design a campaign for one person and hope that a lot of people share that same appeal, that enough people buy it to offset your marketing costs, right? So if you believe in that concept, you understand there's a lot more people who share that. So what I say to the person who brings that up is, guess what? We can create another ad, right? What you don't do is you don't try to create a catch-all ad that appeals to everybody. Instead, you just create a bunch of specific ads, right? So when somebody says, okay, this is too specific, I'm like, well, how would you feel if your girlfriend said they came in and came out, right? Wouldn't you want your girlfriend to say, I was out with my lady friends, I sent you a text, did you check your phone? That's the type of specificity that makes people understand. And this is what this article said. They said they lied because it made them look bad, but they hoped that the therapist would push. They hoped that the therapist would ask them the question and get it out of them. And that brings up to the second objection, which is, Andrew, this might be too hard hitting, right? We don't want to do negative messaging, right? And it's funny because one of my clients, Buddy, when we first met each other and we first went into our engagement, he was like, he said, Andrew, I really hate when other functional medicine practitioners bash the medical industry. They bash doctors, right? That's what he told me, like off the rip. And then we ran a survey, and literally every single one of his patients, every single one, said, I hate medical doctors. I hate conventional medicine. They tell me the disease is all in my head. We had one patient who literally got kicked out of a consult, and he was like, oh my God, I see why other people talk about this. So here's the reality of the situation. And this goes into tip number 5. You don't write your campaigns. Your next marketing campaign, your next blockbuster campaign, your next campaign or first campaign that's going to bring you in clients at as little as $100 a week, it's not going to come from you, right? So you don't write your marketing campaign. So what do I mean by this? So let's do a little case study real quick. So IBS, right? So I'm working on a campaign right now, a bunch of campaigns actually. I mean, I'm talking about from autoimmunity to Alzheimer's to freaking genetic testing. I mean, I'm working on a bunch of campaigns. Let's take an IBS campaign, for example, right? So you have IBS, right? Let's draw the line of abstraction, right? So the line, LOA, right? So the line of abstraction, right? We know here is general, and we know here is specific. So I put special. So here's general, here's specific. So I promise you I'm going to get better at my handwriting. Okay, so if you could follow along here, you have IBS, right? Irritable bowel syndrome, which is a problem in the gut. Some news outlets will say it's incurable, there's no solution, and other functional medicine practitioners will say it's usually the result of a gut bug, and if you eliminate that, you eliminate the problem. But the point isn't whether this is curable or not. The point is, if you want to sell patients on IBS, if you want to get patients who have this illness or disorder in your door, how do you speak to them? Now, what most functional medicine practitioners will do is they'll create ads, and they'll make the ads something like, if you have, right now, I've seen this, right? If you have IBS, or if you're experiencing abdominal pains, we're giving away a GI map, come into our office. Okay, so who is going to do that? Right, your office is probably 30 minutes away. They know that you're gonna sell them. So why, like, what incentive have you gained? And this is where a lot of people don't consider. Not only is it not inspiring, right? Not only is it not inspiring, but it's also something they've heard before, right? So you have to keep it in account that nobody, so if you want IBS patients, these people are not in a vacuum, right? These are not people who have IBS and are sitting at home, not looking for any solutions, okay? So these are people who might have had a colonoscopy. They might have had an endoscope. They might have had a stool test, right? So they might have done all these tests. They might have read all the best-selling books on Amazon. So when you come in and say, hey, I have a stool test, they're like, I did that, right? So these people are not in a vacuum, and there's objections, right? And this is where you have to understand about marketing. Every patient that you go after, no matter what condition they have, no matter if it's autoimmunity, no matter if it's PMS, no matter if it's leaky gut, right? These people not only have pain, but they have objections, okay? People who have colonoscopies are like, I've done a colonoscopy, there's nothing there. Why would I do your GI test? You have to explain this to people, right? It's like the difference, you know, if you ever, I just got into a fight with, my girlfriend yesterday, and she was like, it's funny how dad fights with kids sometimes. So it's like, okay, like, do you love me? And it's like, no, you don't love me. Prove it, right? And it's like, you can say you love somebody, but unless you're showing it through action, unless you doing things, right, people are not going to believe it. And it's the same thing. You can say you have a solution, but unless you prove it, people are not going to believe you. So then the question goes, how do you prove it? Well, you move down this line of abstraction. Literally, this video, right, will change how you think of marketing, right? It took me years to learn this. This is not what they teach in school. This is not what they teach in airport books. This is literally trial and error. Millions of dollars that I spent working with guys like Ty Lopez, right? Working at ad agencies, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, right? I've had campaigns where I said that, especially early in my career. Hey, buy this, thinking I could just slap a Facebook ad up and get money. And you get a rude awakening once you spend $600 of clients' money and nothing comes back. So let me save you that disaster and heartache of wasted money. So literally all you have to do to essentially guarantee that your next ad campaign is not gonna flop is you just move down this line of abstraction, right? So what's a way to get more specific about IBS? Well, if you know anything about IBS, there's IBS-D, right? There's IBS-D, and there's IBS-C, okay? So off the bat, just getting more specific about the type of IBS, you're starting to get better, right? Because somebody who has IBS diarrhea predominant, it has a way different experience than somebody who has IBS constipation predominant, right? This person's experiencing abdominal pains. This person can't go on a jog in the morning anymore, okay? And imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine you run an ad campaign. Instead of speaking about what the hell you want to sell, you can empathize with them and say, hey, I know you used to jog in the morning. And I know how important that was for you and your husband to get that time in the morning from 7 to 8, uninterrupted, before you started your busy days. And now that's gone because you can't be but 15 minutes away from a bathroom. I know. And I know there's nothing more frustrating than getting a colonoscopy and the tests come back negative. You see your doctor tell you that. So do you see how much more compelling an ad can be as you move down this line of specificity? Now, remember the quote. You advertise to one person with one appeal and hope that enough people share that appeal and buy your product so it offsets your ad costs. Well, what I began to do was say, okay, let's take it a step further. Instead of just going by symptoms, right, which is just better than selling your product to somebody who's never heard, seen, liked, know, or trust you. Instead of just going symptoms, which is a step up, why don't we take it a little bit further? And why don't we just go all the way down the line of abstraction and literally create an ad for every single patient? Imagine how much more specific we could get, right? Now, here's the deal. If you read a lot of self-help books, right? If you read a lot of self-help books, what you'll quickly realize is that we're motivated by about 4 things, right? So tip number 6, okay? We're motivated by about 4 things. The first one is mastery. Now, I think this is what I'm motivated most by. And as a functional medicine practitioner, this is probably what you're motivated most by, because you could have been a medical doctor, you could have been a pharmacist, and you could have earned a lot of, which is number 2, money, right? You could have just had people coming in for 5-minute consults. You don't tell them anything. You tell them they're going to be okay. You give them some pills, then you send them home. And you could have got paid a handsome sum for that. But instead, you decided to be a functional medicine practitioner, subject yourself to a lifelong curriculum of learning, because you're dedicated to get to the root cause of the issue and actually get patients' results and actually change somebody's life, right? So you're probably motivated by mastery, right? And then on the flip side, you have doctors, pharmacists who are probably more motivated by money. Then you have number 3, which is people who are motivated by mating, right? So people who literally do everything for their loved one, right? Their relationship is their priority. Their kids are their priority, right? Something I tell my girlfriend all the time is like, yo, listen, like, I put my job before my kids. I would, because without my job, there's no kids. I put my wife before my kids, because without my wife, there's no kids, right? And it doesn't mean I don't love my kids. It's just a matter of what motivates you. And that's obviously something that comes directly from somebody who's motivated by mastery. Now, you might say, what an asshole you are to say that to your girlfriend, but like, that's the reality to me, right? To me. Now, to her, she's like, you're an asshole, right? Now, she's motivated by mating. Guess what? An ad that has that type of tone will not resonate with her. And that's why in your business, you must have multiple different ads that appeal to different people. And the 4th motivation is movement, right? Now, me, right, I would say if I were to give you my motivations, it's number 1, mastery, number 2, money, right? I just came back from Egypt, and I was walking next to the Sphinx, right? I was walking next to the Sphinx, and minding my business. Now, I don't know if these people in these countries, right? If you've ever been to like the Bahamas, Egypt, some of these, I'm not gonna say not 1st-tier countries, but some of these developing countries, they kind of have an eye out if you're a tourist, right? I think to go see the Sphinx, I think my girlfriend paid like, I don't even know, like $2, and I had to pay like $15. Like, that's what they do. Like, if you're a tourist, they literally raise the price. So I'm not sure if this guy thought I was a tourist, because I was wearing like I was wearing something Muslim related. And what he said to me as I was walking by was, he was like, if you want this cap, like this, if you ever seen, like, it's Ramadan now, so if you ever seen like people wearing the scarf, like the whatever, but he wanted to sell me something, right? And he was like, $2, right? He said $2. So to me, I'm like, yo, let's play, right? Because I'm minding my business. I'm with my girlfriend. You're bothering me, talking about buy this for $2. I don't know you, but you want to bother me, so I'll bother you. So what I did is I said to my girlfriend, I was like, go in my wallet, give me $1, and just walk away. Because he tried to sell it to me for $1. I'm gonna try to buy it for $1, right? And me and him were just going back and forth. I was like, oh, you said $2? No. What happened was he said $1. So I was like, give me $1 because I know in these countries they try to hustle you, right? They get you in and they said, no, actually it's $5, right? So I said, give me $1, and I'm just gonna go in with the $1. I'm gonna say, hey, either take it or leave it, right? So of course on cue, I said $1. He said, yeah. So I pulled out my American dollar. I said, great, I have $1. So he said, actually, if you're gonna give me $1, it's gonna be $2. And I said, oh, really? That's unfortunate because I don't have $1, right? And then, my girlfriend just walked away because at this point, she's like getting embarrassed. But to me, money is motivating to me because it's like a game, right? It's like a sport. It's a scorecard, right? In school, you used to get a report card every so often just to, it aggregates your grades. To me, money is nothing more than a report card on how well I'm doing in copywriting and marketing and sales. So it's a way for me to judge myself, right? I'm very competitive. I used to play football in college. So, really, money is just a piece of paper. It's a means to an end. It's not a means within itself, but to me, it's fun, right? It's a way to gauge how well I'm doing. Then the last, I would say movement to me, really these last two are on the same page. Because me, I could literally be in my house all day. I could be in my house 24/7, 365, and be okay. And there's some people where, they get depressed if they don't travel. Right? And that's not me. And then, of course, you have mating. And I just told you I would put my work above my kids. So this is obviously, not a motivation to me. But here's the thing. If you go back to the line of abstraction, right, which is general and then specific here, what I try to do in my ads, and somebody's on here live watching with us. What's up? But what I try to do in my ads is I try to make sure as I go down this level of specificity, I try to make sure I'm writing an ad that speaks to one of these 4 core motivations of humans, right? What gets people to buy? They have to be excited, right? If you ever did cold call, I used to do cold calling. You call somebody cold, they don't know they're not expecting your call, and you have something to sell them at the end of it, right? You can just hear people's voice just upset and mad, like you're ruining their day. And for the most part, they're not going to be a buyer because an upset person is not going to be a buyer. So what gets people to buy? Excitement, inspired, right? Motivated, right? So what you have to do is you have to make sure you're touching on one of these 4 motivations, right? So let's draw it right here. So we have mastery, we have money, we have mating, and then we have movement. So look at this, right? And I wrote some notes down from the case study that I have about this IBS thing. Where is it at? I don't have it. I can remember, but no. So this is what we discovered as we did the research for IBS, right? What we discovered was that IBS was affecting people from achieving their higher purpose, right? So even my client, Buddy, had IBS. And what he told me was that when he had IBS, he was drained. He was lethargic, right? He wanted to grow his functional medicine practice, but he couldn't because he didn't have the energy to because he had to go to the bathroom. Okay, so IBS affected his mastery. Okay, that's a compelling way to go. Then you have money. Okay, how many people can't work, have to quit their job because they can't have a 9-to-5 job because they're in the bathroom from 9 to 12, right? You can't work a 9-to-5 job if you're in the bathroom from 9 to 12, right? So IBS was affecting people from getting money, maybe, right? IBS, it happens for the most part, people get flare-ups, right? You eat certain foods, your IBS symptoms get worse, right? Whether it's abdominal pains, whether it's diarrhea, right? If you eat too much of like broccoli and fiber, you might go to the bathroom more. So here's the thing: a lot of people go out to eat with their spouses. They have favorite restaurants that they can't go to anymore, which affects the love life. Okay, and the last thing, movement. Imagine going to an airport or being on a plane with IBS, right? So these are the things that you want to speak to in your ads. And to me, no functional medicine practitioner should have an ad campaign for any type of illness or any type of disorder or anything. You should have at minimum four ads. You should have at least, if you want to go get IBS patients, if you want to go get neuropathy patients, you should have at minimum 4 different ads, all geared toward talking and trying to appeal to somebody's desire to be master, somebody's desire to get more money, somebody's desire to have a good love life, and somebody's desire to be free. Okay? And this is why a lot of ad campaigns flop. Is because you're putting yourself, your product, above the desires of another human. Right? That's why a lot of relationships, right? America, 50% divorce rate. Now, a lot of reasons because money's not up to par, but another reason is because people can't empathize with other people, right? Empathy, to me, I think is my strongest skill set, that I can put myself in people's shoes, and people want to do stuff for people that they feel like them, right? Imagine that, right? So the question becomes, okay, Andrew, I know that I have to advertise, right? Going back to the beginning here, right? I know that marketing is the most important thing of any business. I know it all starts with marketing, right? And this is evident by the fact that marketing survived newspapers, magazines, radio, TV, Google. So as media has changed, marketing has followed it, right? So that means marketing works, because marketing is not free. So you're only going to pay for something that gets you more money. So marketing works. So the question shouldn't be, should I market? It should be, how do I market? Now, the first thing we spoke about is being a first adapter or first mover, okay? Right? So imagine you had the ability to go back to 2008, 2009 when Facebook ads first opened, and you can run ads there. Now, it might have not been effective for you because older people didn't come until a couple years later, but even 2013, 2012, imagine if you started your ads then, how different would your practice be? Now, we don't have that opportunity right now, even though YouTube is a place to go. If you're listening to this, YouTube is a place to look into, a place I'm looking into for a lot of my clients. But if you want to do Facebook, well then you don't have the luxury that you used to have. You don't have the luxury of just posting stuff on your Facebook page and everybody seeing it, right? There's studies that say 5% of your Facebook likes are going to see your post. So you don't have that luxury. So what do? You have to follow the domino effect, right? And the domino effect is essentially speaking to one reader, right? And this is why I call it the domino effect. So just imagine having a bunch of dominoes, right? Well, according to that quote, you must write an ad campaign for one person with one appeal and hope that a lot of more people share that appeal, that enough people buy your product to offset your marketing costs. Well, here's the thing. With the domino effect, you want to write for this one person and hope that it knocks down enough dominoes, that you make more money than you spend, okay? And the way you do that is you go down the line of specificity, making sure that you write minimum 4 ad campaigns that touch on the 4 motivations of humans. And now the question becomes, okay, this is good theory. How do we put that in practice, right? How do we go about doing that, okay? Well, the first opportunity that every functional medicine practitioner, every medical person has, is your intake form, right? Your intake form. And this is why I love working with functional medicine practitioners, because sometimes I've worked with medical spas, lawyers, property management companies, and literally they have no clue what their prospect wants. Literally no clue. They don't know, right? They guess, they don't know. They can't speak in the words that their prospect uses. But fortunately for you, you're legally required, right? I'm not sure legally, but you, for most part, I've never been to a doctor that has not given me paperwork. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Functional medicine is usually the last option for people. There's nobody I've spoken to who's done functional medicine who literally sought out a functional medicine person first, right? It's usually antibiotics, pills, and if I'm not getting better, maybe I'll hit Google and come across the term functional medicine, right? Or maybe my friend has the same symptoms as me or the same issues as me and tells me about it. So when people come into your office, they have to do this intake form, and they're already in an emotional state to begin with. So imagine instead of just having an intake form that asked medical history and childhood history, right? Childhood medical history. Imagine you asked about their story, about their frustrations. Now, you might say, well, Andrew, my intake form has to have some type of like diagnostic reason for it. Well, guess what? Knowing a story about what somebody's gone through is going to help you clinically anyway. So it's not like we're asking stuff that is unreasonable. We're asking for people to, instead of checking boxes, to understand what they've gone through in real life. So what we've done here is we added a section called story to the intake form, right? Story. How is this affected? How has this affected your life? And what you'll see is people fill out their intake form. They'll start talking about stuff related to mastery, related to money, related to mating, related to movement. You'll see that, right? Some people will be like, wow, I'm here because I don't, my love life is gone. Or some people will say, I'm here because the money is gone, right? So what you need to do is you need to create a system that is always giving you feedback to what the pulse of the market is, right? So imagine this for a second. You're a functional medicine practitioner, right? You're a functional medicine practitioner, and you have a lot of options to go after, right? If you ever looked at a functional medicine practitioner's website and you go to their About Us page, you'll literally see they go like this. I do IBS, acne, heart. Like, they won't even name the service. They'll just name conditions, right? Autoimmunity, right? Autoimmunity. And they'll just list, it's like they copy and pasted it out of, you ever seen like a pharmaceutical commercial on TV? And they're like, they speed it up at the end and they're like, this, what did they say? Like, don't take this drug if you experience acne. So it's literally like they copy and paste a whole bunch of symptoms on here. And what you have to realize is that marketing is different than sales, right? So IBS, and I speak a lot about this in my my beta program I just launched, right? I just created an academy for functional medicine practitioners because what I realized is that, I'm charging a lot of money, right? And I'm only raising my prices as I have more testimonials and more case studies. So a lot of functional medicine practitioners can't work with me that I think I can help. But they do have like a college student, or they have like, somebody who's a little bit more affordable than me on staff. So what I'm doing is I'm literally just opening up everything that I've learned over the past 7 years in this industry, working with guys, like I said, like Ty Lopez. He has like, you go to his Facebook right now, he has like 7 million followers, right? I was responsible for a lot of that, or some of that. I'm not gonna say a lot. I mean, technically he was responsible for it. I just followed orders, but I've spent millions of dollars on ads, right? Same thing with YouTube. I managed his YouTube for a year, okay? So I've taken those lessons. I've went at an agency. I've worked with authors. I've worked with any industry you name. I've worked with them, and I've landed on functional medicine because I think this industry is really going to blow up, right? If you read a lot of these journals, like, people are pissed off about the medical industry, right? About insurance, or not getting tests that's important to their life not being covered. Right? People are really pissed off, and there's only so long, right? You look at history, the French Revolution, the American Revolution, right? There's only so long people can take frustration. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm getting in functional medicine early before the industry really blows up, because I see a change in the system coming. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to teach functional medicine practitioners the skills to get their business at a certain level, so when that change comes, they're prepared, right? Every business is going to blow up. So for example, right, there was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was like Pokemon Go. It was like big, right? Imagine all of the YouTube channels that were about like Pokemon and Pokemon cards. Imagine how many views they got, right? So what you have to do in life, and this is the same thing with Mark Zuckerberg, right? He saw where the industry was going. He saw where the world was going. And he created Facebook. And then eventually the internet got more prevalent and more people were less skeptical about the internet. And next thing you know, your grandma's on Facebook, right? Grandma who said, I'll never buy anything off the internet has like Amazon Prime now, right? So the thing about success in life, number one, I already said this earlier, is not being skeptical, right? It's not being skeptical, and it's being first mover. It's being first, second, third to the party and waiting for people to come. Because guess what? If you're the third person to the party, when the fourth person comes, right, everybody starts to know you. So that's what you want to do now. And now is the time. You don't want to get serious about functional medicine, right? So if you're a chiropractor and you're doing functional medicine on the side, or you're still stuck in that insurance model and you're only doing functional medicine on the side, it's time to start getting serious before it's too late, right? Because if you're treating IBS and there's somebody else who's recording testimonials, who's recording videos, who's providing value to the marketplace every day, once the change in the medical system happens, you don't want all the people going to them, right? Because that's what's going to happen. So what I'm doing, and I'm going to open this up in a few minutes, is I launched a beta group where I'm literally recording all my processes, and I'm just opening it up, right, for like chunk change. So back to this stuff. So what I was saying is that when you have to look at the word marketing. One thing I like doing is I like just looking up words to see where they originated from, to see the meaning behind it, right? So when you look at marketing, right, IBS, acne, heart, this doesn't really appeal to anybody because every market, right, market is just a group of people with similar interests or similar pain points. IBS has a market of people. This is how you should be thinking when you're running your ads. The IBS market is made up of people with IBS whose mastery is being affected, whose money is being affected, whose mating is being affected, and whose movement is being affected. And it's the same thing with chronic allergies, right? Mastery is being affected, but it looks different for every market, right? The person who has chronic allergies is not on the toilet. Instead, they might be going to their friend's house, and because the friend has a cat, they can't be as social as they want to be, right? So this is how you should be thinking about who you're serving. This is how you should be thinking about your market. And what you want to do in your marketing is speak to this, because marketing and sales are different, right? There's a famous quote by Peter Drucker. He's a Harvard business professor. He's died now, but he's one of the most famous and well-renowned business professors. And one thing he said was that the goal of marketing is to make sales superfluous, meaning the goal of marketing is to make sales almost non-existent. So the better you speak to the market, the easier it is to close the deal, right? So remember when I started this video, what did I say? I said that it's possible to get people who are already credit card in hand ready to go, right? Because the number one objection that you're going to get in the functional medicine business is You guys don't accept insurance? Okay, I'm out of here, right? Right? You might have a program that's $3,000, $4,000, $1,000. You might have these high-level programs that cost a lot of money to people who have not been used to doing anything medical that's not covered by their insurance. So you must overcome that in your marketing, so you don't have to waste your time in the sales, in the sales situation with people who don't even know that, right? Who don't even know that you don't take insurance, right? You don't want to just surprise people. Instead, you want to show them why the conventional way is going to give them the same results that they're having with the colonoscopies or whatever. So you have to understand, the goal of marketing is to make sales superfluous. So in your Facebook ads, your YouTube ads, your social media ads, you should speak more to the desires of the market and less about your product, right? Less about your product. All right, and this is the last tip I'm going to leave you off with before I open up this beta group right here. And it's this right here. This is how every marketing campaign I run looks like, okay? And this is what I call the marketing messaging spectrum. The marketing messaging spectrum. I have like a whole bunch of names for stuff, and I just try to remember. So marketing message spectrum, okay? So what this is this right here is the big idea. And I speak a lot about this in my program. The big idea, probably one of the most important things of your campaign, but you have this big idea, which is what you lead your message with, right? You lead your message with some type of idea, some type of thought, some type of something interesting that gets people wanting to even entertain you in the first place, right? So think about the big idea as your clothing, right? The Met Gala was yesterday. You know, a lot of people wearing these expensive dresses, expensive, kilts, and just looking all fancy. So think about your big idea as like your outermost layer that might get somebody interested enough to approach you and talk to you. Now, when your prospect starts engaging in your ad because your big idea is that interesting, well, the first thing you have is your lead, right? The lead is like the first 400 to 600 words of your campaign. Now, here's where your promise is. Remember, like the one reader, the one big idea, one offer, one promise. So the big idea is the most important thing because that's what's going to get people interested. Then, in your lead, you want to make your promise. So to me, if you look at this video here, what I promised you is I was going to teach you a system that brings you in functional medicine patients for your functional medicine practice with as little as $100 a week, right? That was my promise, and I had to say that in the beginning, or else you wouldn't have lasted an hour, right? So as you do that, then about 80% of what you're saying is marketing. It's speaking to their desires. It's reassuring them that their pains are not as painful or as scary as they think, or at least that you have a solution for that pain. And only once you get them to buy into your thesis, right? And in the IBS campaign, our thesis was that IBS is a result of bacterial infections, viral infections. So as long as you had a test that can determine what infection you had, you can eliminate that. Thus, you can eliminate your IBS. So whatever your thesis is for the campaign, you have to get them to buy into that by establishing a chain of beliefs. And once they buy into your thesis, then you can talk about your product. But you have to understand your market first. So here's what I want to do, right? What I want to do is I want to open up my beta group for functional medicine practice. And I call it the Functional Medicine Facebook academy. Okay, so here's what I always say to anybody, because this is definitely not for everybody. What I'm about to open up here. But what I say, whether it's to my junior copywriters, to my friends, my clients, sales calls, is I say that you have to follow success principles. And when I say success principles, right, Tony Robbins said the famous quote, success leaves clues, right? And to me, what I look at is what is life principles that lasted through time, right? And one of those principles is economics, right? So if you've ever taken an economics class in school, what they say in like economics 101 is that the Dominican Republic, right, has a lot of cocoa beans because that's what their agriculture is geared toward, cocoa beans. It wouldn't make sense for them to try to grow rice because they're going to get diminishing returns. Instead, they should continue to grow cocoa beans and then trade some of their cocoa beans with China, right? Because they can create cocoa beans, a lot of them at a low cost, because they're so skilled. They're still genetically gifted, right? I wouldn't say genetically, but they're agriculturally gifted to creating cocoa beans, that for them to try to create something that they're not as gifted in would be not a good strategy, right? And that's exactly where the educational system has led us astray. So I went to the University of Oregon, right? Go Ducks, Marcus Mariota, Chip Kelly, DeAndre Thomas. I went to school, right? We just went to the March Madness, last month or whatever. And for the most part, the University of Oregon is a liberal arts school, right? Meaning that my freshman year, I took like post-World War II Germany. I took BA 101. I had a freaking like a anatomy, like some type of medical class, anatomy, and I had another class about literature. Okay, now here's the problem with that. I was already in school for 15 years, right? Shouldn't I have not learned that at the point I was 18? So here I'm now paying $30,000 a year to learn more general stuff. Well, the problem is you look at anybody successful, right? If we pull up the Forbes list right now, right? Number one would be Jeff Bezos. Then you have Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. These people are people who specified and really went narrow in one thing, right? The only exception to this rule might be Elon Musk. And even that, he's really focused on Tesla, right? This is a guy who said he sleeps like 3 hours a night. He's mostly at Tesla. He's not really doing SpaceX like that. He's not really managing that company, right? He's like the FDA trying to get him to stop being the CEO of Tesla, right? So you have the Forbes list. You have all these people who are specialized in one thing, right? Amazon, right? Jeff Bezos didn't try to buy Whole Greens in 1994 when he started Amazon. He focused on being a book company first, got that going, and then he started to diversify, right? The same thing with Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is an investor. He spends 8 hours of his day reading. Bill Gates did Microsoft, right? Bill Gates used to say that him and his computer programmers used to have a competition as to who could sleep the least and who could go the longest without taking a shower. Okay? So what I see a lot of people doing in business, which to me is just a terrible strategy, it goes against the rules of economics. What I see a lot of people doing is they do what Hitler did in 1940s, right? Hitler is somebody who, let's, again, not to bring up this guy, but let's just say this is Great Britain. This is like Normandy, and then you have like Europe, right? And then you have like Russia, and then you have like Italy down here, right? So you have like Germany here, okay? So Hitler is somebody who basically took over all of Western Europe, okay? He was allies with Russia and allies with Italy. Okay? So all he had to do was get great brain. And literally, the world as we know it might be different. But no, no. He decides to attack Russia, creating what history calls a two-front war, right? So he's fighting Great Britain. He broke his alliance with Stalin. And now you have Patton coming up through Africa, coming up to Italy. Okay, so now he has to fight a war on three fronts. And guess what happened? He shot himself, right? So if you find yourself frustrated right now because you have to study all of the protocols to become the practitioner that you want to be, if you find yourself struggling because you have to train secretaries, and you have to train your nutritionists, and you have to worry about your website going down, and you have to worry about a presentation that you're going to have to give at the local coffee shop, at the local nursing home, do you think you really have the time to do everything I just said? Now, you might understand it, and one thing I was always taught is you don't delegate what you don't know, but do you want to fight a multi-front war? You can, and if you can, this program I'm about to offer is not for you. So the presentation is done, but for those of you who want to learn, right, or want the opportunity to grow your practice, to learn what it takes, instead of trying to figure this out on your own with time and money you don't have, right? Do you have $2,000 just to test? Do you have $2,000 where you can just throw it away and then say, okay, well, I learned not to do that again? Well, you probably don't. So let me take that learning curve away from you, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I am going to open up my Functional Medicine Facebook Academy, right? So this right here is probably too small of print. So I'm gonna move it over and I'm just gonna read it to you what I am offering, right? And if you click the link below or above, there should be a link, right? I'm not sure what it is. I think it's gonna be Richmond Terrace Research / Functional Medicine Facebook Academy. And that's it. Okay? Go to Functional Medicine Facebook Academy -FB. Okay? So click the link above, below. You should see a link somewhere. If you click this link, you can read what's on this paper in a lot more legible print, and it's going to explain to you exactly what you're offering, but I'm going to explain to you now. So the first thing I'm going to give you is what I call the Copywriting Alchemy course. So we spoke a lot today about getting the attention of your market, but not only getting the attention, right? If you remember this right here, it's not enough just to get their attention. But once you get their attention, you need to know what promises to make to them, right? What promises have they heard before? What promises are boring, trite? How to make engaging promises that they desire, how to build an argument, create a thesis, and craft a compelling offer. Okay? So what this Copywriting Alchemy course is going to do, and this is just a series of videos. So everything I have is a series of videos locked inside a membership portal. You get your own username, you get your own password, safely secure, right? You can share it with your team, right? If you buy it, you can share it with your marketing person, or you can do it yourself and cut down that learning curve, right? So if you're gonna do Facebook yourself or YouTube yourself, here's a way to do it more confidently. Okay, so if you have a database, right? So some of the clients I have worked, they use Intake IQ, BetterPractice.io, like Charm. So there's a lot of different ways you can go about getting patient information. So no matter what software you use, if you already have data and words that your customer use to describe their pain, Well, this course is going to tell you how to take that information, how to take the intake forms that you already have and how to turn them into ad copy that gets you more patients, like the one who is just complaining, right? I mean, complaining is not a good word, but if somebody is venting about their issues on your intake form, giving you detail, I'm going to show you how to literally take that, reorganize it into what I call copywriting frameworks. Okay, so there's a bunch of sales books I have, marketing books I have, and one thing about persuasion is that there's a structure to it. There's a way you order things to get the most out of people. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to take the information from your intake forms and how to organize it in a way that gets you more leads, more patients. So the second thing I'm going to offer you, so that's number one. The second thing I'm going to offer you is the Facebook targeting workshop. Okay, so the mistake I see a lot of people doing, and this is a little bit more of advanced people who are already running ads, I'll look into their ad campaign and all they're doing is targeting a geographic location. So if you live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, what I see a lot of functional medicine practitioners doing is targeting Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, I live in New York, and like any metropolitan city, there's going to be a lot of people in the city. More people than not, at least, well, in America, it seems like everybody has chronic issues, but more people than not are not looking or not actively thinking about a solution. So what happens is even if you have a compelling message, right? Even if you have a compelling message, if you're not targeting the right people, you might be spending a lot of money on a wasted opportunity. So for example, let's just say I have Scientific American, okay? Scientific American. I can have an ad about Christianity, about the best book on how to run your church that you've ever seen. But if I put it in the Scientific American, how many people are responding to that? Right? I mean, probably none, because as a scientist, they're more likely to be atheist than a Bible thumper, right? So you probably, no matter how good your message was, if you don't put it into the right place, if you don't show it to the right people, you're literally wasting money. So what I'm going to do is, after I show you how to take your intake forms and turn them into ads that convert, I'm going to show you how to find people who are most likely to buy your product, right? Now, the third thing that I have here is called the inclination testing structure. So if you read a lot of medical journals, like you know, like I do, and like I know you do as a functional medicine practitioner, what you'll notice is that a lot of these journals talk about clinical tests, right? They talk a lot about clinical tests. They talk about, control groups, variable groups, placebo, right? And the control versus this and all that type of stuff. But basically, in order for a pharmaceutical drug to get approved for a specific disease, right? So in order to actively market on TV, right? So if I have Viagra and I'm marketing to people with sexual dysfunction, I have to get clinically approved by the FDA to do that. In order to get clinically approved by the FDA, you need what is called an inclination that your variable group outperform the best control, right? So saying it more simply, you need proof that your product fucking works, right? So in the inclination testing structure program, I'm going to teach you, because at this point you have a stellar message, you have the right audience to get it in front of. So what I'm going to teach you now is how to structure your ads in a way where you can test whether, right? You can test whether the mastery related ads are better. You can test whether the movement related ads are better, because what you want is data. Okay? And let me give you a little sneak peek about what's in the program, what I teach, right? You always want to maximize learning before you maximize profits. Always. That is another success principle. Okay? First comes knowledge, then comes strategy, then comes execution, right? People, generals don't just hop in war, right? You ever seen a general in a movie? What they have? They have a map, and then they have like those thumbtacks on every with the strings, right? So knowledge provides you the raw materials to create a comprehensive strategy, which gives you the confidence to execute in this particular direction. Now, you always want to maximize that in the beginning, right? So if you're going after IDS, your first set of ads should be determining whether mastery works better. And let me just draw this out for you, right? And this is what I'm going to teach you in the program. So what I'm going to teach you in the program is that when you're structuring your Facebook ads, you always want to do it like this, right? You always want to create, in the first rotation of ads, you always want to create an ad that's around mastery. You want to create an ad that's around movement, right? You want to create an ad that's around mating and around money, okay? So what happens is we test, because at this point, right, you don't have a control. And that's the only difference between you, right, unless you've been running campaigns. But for the most part, that's the difference between you and like the pharmaceutical example that I'm bringing up, is that a pharmaceutical, they have drugs that's on the market. You don't have anything. So the first step is to establish a control. And this is what I mean by maximizing learning before you maximize profits, okay? So first you want to establish a control. You want to establish a control, and you want to test screams, not whispers, right? So you want to test a lot of ads that look, feel, sound different. Okay, and I'm going to teach you what that means. But you basically want to have a lot of ads that are completely different for the same product. Then you want to quickly establish a control, right? So what you'll see is that, you might get a lead for, $7 here, $4 here, $1 here, and $15 here. Well, what happens is you start shutting off the ads that are not hitting the metrics, and then you start creating more variations under the control, okay? So you test in the beginning wide, different, you establish a control, and you say, okay, well, this market really responds to mastery type ads. Okay, let me create different variations of mastery, right? And then you start getting leads for very cheap. Okay, so this program is that's very exciting. So let me go back to the pricing here. So here's how I come up with pricing. Now, if you go to JCPenney, right, you might see deals. And what they do is, they might raise the retail price just so they can lower it and say, you get a big discount because they just inflated the retail price. Well, here's what I say. You see the books behind me, right? You see this shirt under me. I just happen to wear it. I'm probably, ask my math. This was $25,000. I'm literally just putting the prices I paid for some of this stuff when I was a rookie. Okay, so the copywriting alchemy course is $4,000. Okay, and I can show you the receipts. Okay, so that's $4,000 retail price for that program, right? My copywriting alchemy course. The second program is the Facebook targeting workshop, is $1,000. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna get, just to remind you what you're about to get, you're gonna get the copywriting alchemy course that's gonna show you how to take your intake forms and turn them into converting ads. Like if you're scrolling on Facebook right now. Let me just share my screen. I don't even think I can. Anyway, if you're scrolling down Facebook, right, you'll see the ads, right? I'm going to teach you how to write them so you can get people to stop and pay attention, right? That's a $4,000 program. The next thing I'm going to teach you is the Facebook targeting workshop. So after you go through the copywriting alchemy course and you learn how to write the ads, I'm then going to teach you how to get the ads in front of the right person. Okay, so that's 2 courses. The second course is another $1,000. So we're already at, if you go elsewhere and you just click your Facebook feed and you buy other people's courses, we're already at $5,000 worth of content, right? The last thing is I'm going to teach you how to establish controls. And this is something nobody talks about. Nobody talks about how to actually test, right? They teach you how to write an ad, and it's like you write one ad, and that's it, right? But one thing you have to understand about advertising is there's something called ad fatigue. So your ad, it might be working today, but come back in a week, right? The numbers start slowly going up. As more people see it, people stop responding. So you have to know not only how to create an ad campaign once, you need to know how to do it multiple times. Okay? So you're gonna have the copywriting course where I teach you how to write the ad for $4,000. Then I'm gonna teach you how to put it in front of somebody else, in front of your ideal patient for another $1,000. That's $5,000. And then I'm gonna teach you how to structure it, which is another $100. Okay? So we're at $5,100 worth of content. Now, what if, right? Now, like I said, it's a beta group, so don't get scared, right? I'm going to offer some scholarships right now. But even if it was $5,000, you're a functional medicine practitioner. I mean, you should have like a $3,000 program. What if all this did was bring you 2 patients? What if a one-time payment of $5,100 brought you 2 patients? You'd break positive on this, okay? And that's not all you're gonna get, because if you're a beginner functional medicine practitioner, well, you don't have any intake forms, right? So if you're a chiropractor and you just started getting into functional medicine and you're new and you want to go after IBS, one thing you could do is you can hound your previous patients, be annoying. You can do a lot of the service for free in exchange for information. Or what I can do is I can teach you how to go on places like Amazon, Quora, Reddit, find people who have IBS, who are suffering, who are in these forum communities complaining, and I can teach you how to copy and paste what's being said in these different places. And using the copywriting alchemy, I can teach you how to take what's online and turn that into ads, because that's what I do for most of my clients. Most of my clients don't have intake forms like I want them to have. Most clients don't have surveys like I want them to have. They don't have their sales calls recorded like I want them to have. So I have to go figure out, what the hell does a patient with neuropathy want? What do they care about? What frustrates them? I have to find that, for the most part, for every functional medicine practitioner I have. If I don't have the ability to survey, I have to go find it myself. So I'm going to teach you, literally, if you're a new functional medicine practitioner, how to do that. So there's no reason why you can't grow your practice to where it should be. Now, how amazing would that be? That right now, if your strategy was to hound my previous patients in the insurance model or to give out my service for free, how much relief does that bring you, that there's a third option, there's a better way, right? And also, if you're a beginner functional medicine practitioner, I'm also going to give you a template of the intake form that I want you to start implementing now, so you don't have to go 5 years without missing this information. All free. These are all free bonuses. Now, if you're advanced, I got some bonuses for you too, because you most likely have a website, right? You most likely have a website that's joeschmo.com/conditions/digestive issues. Well, guess what? You can retarget, and when I say retarget, you can set up what I call a digital footprint. It's a little code that you put on your website where you can retarget or market to everybody who's been on your website on a specific page. So for example, if somebody came to your website and they read a blog about digestive issues, what do they probably have? Digestive issues. So what if I told you I can get you, we can serve ads to people who've been on your website, looked at digestive issue problem content, and you can serve ads to them because you know they have digestive issues? Do you think you could get 2 patients with this program? Right? So the question is, it shouldn't be when or should I invest in this program? It should be how soon should I invest in this program? Because when I tell you the price, It's not going to last long, right? So the last thing you're going to get is the behind, and this is for your advanced beginner. I run an agency, okay? So I literally critique copy every day. So what I'm going to do is I record everything that I do. So I'm going to share the recording with you. You're going to see me critique my junior copywriters saying, hey, that's not specific enough, or that's too generic, or rewrite that, right? A lot of people get stuck with writer's block. I'm going to teach you how to, literally, I'm going to teach you. So for example, if you buy a book on, I don't have any of them with me, but I have my iPad, right? So let me show you an example. So let's pretend this was a book on IBS, right? So it's not, but this pretend I'm going to teach you literally how to read books, right? How to read books about a condition, highlight passages, and turn those into ads. So you don't have to write the ads yourself. Like, there's no excuse for writer's block at all. And I'm going to give you the tools, right? Anytime you're unable to take action, it's because of a lack of knowledge. Always, right? If you think it's because of a lack of confidence, tell me who in the world has knowledge that's not confident to do something. Think about your cases that you have. The cases that you're not the most knowledgeable in, you probably are a little bit more hesitant. But the cases you've done over and over, you're confident. So if you're up at night, if you're thinking about your functional medicine practice, if you're thinking about where's my next client going to come from, if you're thinking about, damn, do I have to go public speak for the rest of my life? It's stressful. Well, let me help you build leverage. Let me teach you one thing about the internet. You do it once, and Facebook shows the ad over and over. So you can literally get patients while you sleep. That's a lot less stressful than preparing a speech every day, right? Preparing a speech every day just to repeat it next week. No, stop. Let me show you. There's a better way. So click the link above and below. So all of these, so the main offering, which is the copywriting alchemy course, I'm going to teach you how to write ads using your intake form. I'm going to teach you how to put those ads in front of people most likely to buy. And then I'm going to teach you how to set it up so you can establish controls and variables and always create new ads that get less and less, that they get more and more patients for less and less dollars, right? On top of that, you're going to get a bunch of bonuses. Whether you're a beginner practitioner, I'm going to teach you how to go find it online, find the pain points of the market online. And if you're an experienced practitioner, I'm going to teach you how you can use your website to market to people who already know, like, and trust you. Okay, so all of this, the main offering, which is $5,000, right? And all these bonuses, okay? I'm opening this up for $1. $1. Now, here's why I'm doing that, okay? Because, like I said to you earlier in the call, is that I have spent most of my career doing it, okay? Like, I've been doing this for people. I'm now starting to get into the educational model, the online education info product stuff, because I'm building leverage. Now, here's the thing about new businesses, right? You always want to do what's called a freemium model, right? So when I say freemium model, think about Facebook, or think about YouTube, or think about Spotify, or whatever. Like these websites that you can use certain products or certain features for free, but then you have to upgrade. So for Facebook, for example, you can use Facebook, but if you want to advertise on Facebook, you have to pay, right? YouTube, if you can use YouTube, but if you want, if you don't want to get your content interrupted by ads, you have to pay. So that's the same thing I'm doing. I'm offering a freemium model. Now, of course, there's going to be opportunities and offers once you get inside to work with me directly or to upgrade to some of my higher features. But all of this stuff, I'm giving away for $1. And here's the deal. Here's the catch, right? Here's the catch. I'm only doing it for the first 10 people. The only reason why I'm really doing this is so I want testimonials. Completely honest. Like, my mentor Ty used to always tell me, you should always have two reasons for why you do stuff: an altruistic reason and a selfish reason. My altruistic reason is because I want emails. I want functional medicine practitioners telling me how great I am, how much I changed their business, how they can finally spend time with their family. They can finally get some rest. They can finally focus on studying instead of the marketing, right? Because a lot of functional, like we said about economics, a lot of you guys are genetically geared towards science, not marketing, not communication, not arithmetic. So what if you can just focus on what you're good at and the marketing could take care of itself, right? I want to get emails like that, but also selfishly, I need to sell this damn program, right? So the first people I'm going to let in for $1 because if I get a whole bunch of testimonials, I can raise it to $97 a month, which is what I'm going to do. So if you click this link, right, because I'm going to run ads, you're probably watching this on an ad, meaning that there's 100 other functional medicine practitioners just like you watching it. I'm not going to be shocked, right? I'm teaching you how to market. I'm marketing myself, okay? So you're not going to be the only person exposed to this offer. So if you click the link and it's now, so here's what I'm going to do. As soon as we get to 10 people, I'm raising it to $9.97. Once we get to 100 people, I'm raising it to $97, right? And as I get more members, I'm going to charge more, just like Google does. Just like Google does, I'm going to do it, right? Just like Facebook does, I'm going to do it, right? We spoke about this, right? We spoke about Google, the auction model, right? We talked about Google. At first, they were cheap, and now they're expensive. About how Facebook, you're able to post, and everybody's seeing. Now you can't. Well, that's the rich get richer, okay? So, like Drake said, Drake is my favorite music artist. Back in 2008, he said this, right? So Drake is literally the #1 rapper in America. I mean, in the world, really. And what he said back in 2008, before he really blew up, was, "You better get me while features are cheaper than dinner." Saying, you better get me on a feature now before I blow up, and now you have to pay me a lot of money. And guess what? He blew up, and now you better be very good to get a feature with him. You're gonna have to pay a lot of money to get a feature with him. And that's the same thing. You better get this while this is cheaper than a pack of gum. Okay? So I'm not gonna justify the price too much. It's $1. If you can't spend $1, program's probably not for you. Okay? But for those of you functional medicine practitioners who want to grow your business, who want to get leads, for us, like literally take what you would have spent on this anyway and put it toward your ads. I don't care, right? Because a lot of this stuff I'm building up now, right? So there's going to be new videos every day, and you'll see that. And that's another reason why I'm offering $1. But once I finish the program and it's complete and I have testimonials, this price is going up. I promise you. Okay? And no email, oh, can I get the price I saw on this? No, no, right? I'm following the Google model, I'm following the Facebook model. And if you want to be a first adapter, you're welcome to join. I'd love to have you. I'd love to work with you and train and help you grow your practice. And if not, I'll see you in a couple of months when your friend did it, when your colleague did it, when somebody in your mastermind has went through my stuff, grew their business. And guess what? You'll have to pay me 5 times what they paid. Okay? So here's the thing, money replenishes. Okay? If you've been getting on average 10 patients a month, you're gonna get another 10 patients next month. So even if this was $5,000, you're gonna get another $5,000 next month. Okay? What you wanna do in life is you wanna save time. Time you can't get back. Okay? Your memories with your mom, your dad, you can't get those back. So do everything in your life to save time, right? Be like the Dominican Republic. Grow. You focus on your practice and let other experts be experts around, right? You, for the most part, you're probably not your secretary, your nutritionist, your janitor. You hire people to specialize in those things. Same thing with marketing, right? Don't fight the multi-front war, right? Don't do that. No, like, my mom used to say, you don't have to jump in front of a car to understand the importance of looking both ways, right? And that's what sets humans apart. Humans can learn from the mistakes of other humans, okay? Don't be like the 95% of businesses that go out of business because you don't invest in marketing and you don't understand the basic principle of economics, which is get good at one thing and then use the extra money to invest in other things, okay? So this is the offer. I don't know how long it's going to be up because I'm literally just going to ask my assistant to change the price. So please don't write on this ad, I'm a scammer because I raised the price. I told you right now. If you see this and it's $1 and you come back tomorrow and it's 9, don't curse me out on that. Please. Okay? So I hope this was helpful. I hope that you enjoyed the presentation. If any questions, leave them below. I'll make sure I answer them. And I'm going to be promoting this a lot. So I'm going to be back tomorrow. I'm going to be coming up with another topic until I get 100 people in this damn program. Until I get 100 functional medicine practitioners in this program, you're going to be seeing a lot of me. So if you have any questions, leave them, and maybe you inspire me to do a video about something that is bothering you. Okay, so I'm out. I'll see you later, and see you tomorrow.